huge font, because when I went to print it up, it was going to be 3 pages. But anyway, so this week we have Purim, and then 1 month from then we have Pesach. So it's time. We're not gonna. I had thought about doing something with Haggadah, but we're not. There are various, just as point of information, things that are associated with Purim halachot. One is to hear the Megillah, not to recite it, but actually to hear it. One is to give gifts to the poor. Another is to have a Purim Seudah. And usually that's on the day of Purim, because you don't have time, because in shul at the night when it starts, so usually you have it in the day. Those are the 3 of the things that are associated with Purim. Anyway, we are going to get to the Haggadah. Does everybody have a Haggadah with them? Hopefully, whatever Haggadah it happens to be. Great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have lots. And I will be talking a little bit about some of the Haggadot that we have and some of the things that they can add. I don't know if how much you will have control of your Seder, and that's obviously relevant, except I think anybody, whoever, if somebody else is actually in control, unless it's like a community Seder where it's hard to change things, they'll be happy if you want to add something. I just think the funniest one, but I have many Haggadot, but this one I found on the shelf, and it said it's the new Haggadah, and it's edited by Mordechai M. Kaplan.
Oh, sure.
From the Reconstruction Period, and it's 1941. So even in 1941, they were trying to do things and make things more relevant. It's not a 21st century issue. So anyway, I just thought that was fun. The one that we use, and everybody can use whatever they want, is called the Passover Haggadah, the Feast of Freedom. It was put out by the Rabbinical Assembly. Part of the reason we use it is that it was relatively reasonably priced, so we could get a bunch of them. And it has comments and illustrations, which I think is fun. Okay, so we know we have to prepare for Pesach, and I really would stress, if possible, whether it be through the internet, whether it be on online or purchasing Haggadot, that you do a little bit of preparation for Pesach, aside from the physical preparation. Do a little studying. This year Pesach starts on Friday night. So we don't have to worry about the 3-day yontif, for example, when it's 3 days, when it's attached to Shabbos. Shabbos is one of the days. So we also have more Chol HaMoed, which is the days in between, which makes it more fun to do things. Anyway, so we don't have to prepare for Pesach we don't have to prepare for Shabbat on Pesach, because you're going to be preparing for Shabbat when it's not Pesach. Okay, what's the first thing we do physically besides cleaning our house?
Light a candle.
Search for hummus.
Good. Search for hummus. Good. We light the candle. We usually use a candle, a wooden spoon, and a feather. Just a funny thing is, in Muncie, they have little cubes of bread in plastic bags, 10 of them. You're supposed to have 10 pieces, and you could, so God forbid it doesn't make crumbs in your house. So they have each piece in a plastic bag that you search for. Which I thought was very funny the first time I saw it. Okay, so we do that the night before. And there is a special bracha. I have it in my Haggadah. I don't know if you have it in yours. That's the problem. But anyway, if you have it, I'm not going to do it, and then you say a bracha that negates all, because I don't know if you all have it, that negates all the chametz that you haven't found. As my husband says, especially when we had children, we would always find a Cheerio somewhere during Pesach. But it's as of the dust of the earth, so it doesn't matter if you didn't find it. Your house is still kosher for Passover. You can eat chametz until a certain time in the morning, the day of the Seder. Okay, we do candle lighting is the first thing, which is actually the first thing we do in any holiday is the candle lighting. And we do it on Pesach also. Does everybody have candle lighting? You should have that in your Haggadah. That should be at the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read it because you guys know this one, so I'm going to ask somebody else to read besides me. Celia.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat the. There's a dot over that. Do you give it?
I'll tell you in a minute. Just
Wait a
keep
minute.
reading.
No,
it.
it's okay. The shel yom tov.
Okay. In brackets in my Haggadah, it says Shabbat the Shell. Okay. Because it could be on a Friday night. This year, it's absolutely right. That was the right appropriate thing to do because we're lighting for Shabbat as well as the Chag. We don't light separate candles for any Chag and Shabbat. So those candles serve both as the candles for Shabbat and Yom Tov. But it's in brackets because obviously sometimes when we do it on Saturday night, it's not going to be for Shabbat. Or if it's on a Thursday night or whatever, it's not for Shabbat. That's why it's in brackets. But good, that's perfect. And there's another bracha that should be right after that one. Arlene wants to read.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sheheyanu v'dikimanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh.
Perfect. Okay, you were reading it. Good, because I would assume I could say it without reading it, but when I read it, I think of it differently. So, and that was read. And then this is a prayer that we do for any holiday. We also do it for special occasions. We'll oftentimes, like the parents and I think the grandparents, should do it at a bar or bat mitzvah. Speaking about b'nai mitzvah, I think parents should do it at a wedding. That's my personal opinion. And one thing I just can't resist. There was somebody who used to do a shechianu for his child. Started out as when he was very young. Whenever the child did something new, whether it's climb the stairs or go down the stairs or, whatever it was, he would do it. So the kid learned as very young, because you're doing things when you're not an infant, but very young, that whenever they did something special, they stopped and waited for their parent to do the bracha. So I just think that
That's adorable.
A nice thing to remember. Anyway, now we go to the order of the Seder. There are 15 steps, and 15 steps to the Haggadah. Does anybody want to read them? If you have them hopefully you have them in your Haggadah. Beth.
Okay. Kadesh, Urchatz, Karpas, Yachatz, Magid, Rachza, Motzi Matzah, Maror, Korech, Shulchan Orech, Safun, Barech, Hallel, Nirtzah.
Perfect, exactly. And the reason it's like a preview of what's to come, so you know what's going to, and obviously we know because we remember a little of it from last year, but you can also, in our house, we sing it. Kadesh, Orchatz, Karpas, Yachatz, Magid, Rochza, Motzi, Matzah, Maror, Korech, Shulchan Orech, Safun, Barech, Hallel, Nirtzah. Just makes it a little bit a good introduction. Okay, Kadesh. I put the title of what the piece was, but also what it is. Kadesh. It looks like. What does it look like, and what is it going to actually really be? Another
Kiddush.
word.
Kiddush.
Exactly. Good. Good. It's a different form, and it is Kiddush. Exactly. And first, we do a reflection. And I don't know if you do a reflection in your shul, but we do it in your personal Haggadah seders. I mean sederim. We do it in ours. I guess I should read it in the feminine. Hineni muchana mizumenet lekayem mitzvat pos rishon shehu keneged b'shorat hayeshua she'amar hagadosh Baruch leYisrael v'hotzeti etchem b'tachat mislicha Steve Lot Mitzrayim. Okay, not so easy to say. And you could recognize some of the words in there. And this is the first class and the post rishon. Okay. Now, since it's going to actually be on Shabbos, I think we should probably read the Shabbat one. We have to add. Obviously, the difference is we add the Shabbat parts, which we wouldn't necessarily not have if it was on just Pesach on a different day of the week. And there's also a different day that we'd have to add other things, which we will do. What else? What are we going to have to add? And if you looked ahead, we'll know. What are we going to add? Susan. Abdallah, good. I could hardly hear you, Susan. So when you read a little louder.
Sorry, you know what?
I could.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better. Thank you. Good. Okay, so Friday night, we're gonna add the part for Friday night for Shabbat, and Saturday night we're gonna add the part for Havdalah. Okay. Does somebody want to read? I don't want to kill my time. Okay, Annalie.
Vayihir, Vayihiroke, Yom Hashishi, Vayihulu Hashemayim, V'ha'aretz, V'chal Tzva'am, Vayichal Elohim, Vayom Hashvi'i, Melachto Asher Asa, Vayisbot Vayom Hashvi'i, Mikol Melachto Asher Asa, Vayivarech Elohim et Yom Hashvi'i, Vayikadesh Oto. Ki bo Shabbat Mikol Melachto Asher bara Elohim la'asot.
Beautiful. Okay. Somebody else want to do the bracha for the next part?
I can do it.
Good. Say.
Okay. Sabri Marana V'Rabbanan V'Rabotai Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Borei Peri Hagafen Baruch Ata Adonai. Oh, should I continue?
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bacharbanu Mikol. Should I go?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least read the sentence. You can read as much as you want, but at least stop it at the end of the sentence.
Okay. Beromamanu Mikol Lashon. Vekitshanu b'mitzvotav vatiten lanu Adonai Eloheinu v'hava Shabbatot limnocha.
Good.
Umoadim lishmicha.
L'simcha.
Oh, lesimcha. Okay. Lesimcha chagim uzmanim lesason et yom. Leshabbat hashabbat hazeh ve'et yom chag hamatzot hazeh. can I continue or
It's up to you.
oh, well, I can read it if, okay. Ziman cherutenu l'Shabbat behava mikra kodesh. Zecher litziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu bacharta va'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim l'Shabbat umoadei kadshecha l'Shabbat behava
I don't think Shabbat is actually in it. I think it's, unless yours, Haggadah says that in both places. On Shabbat you add, but it doesn't actually say Shabbat.
I
It's
see,
it's
I see.
Ba'ava
Yeah,
Uvratzon.
it says, I mean, it does says in the beginning of it says Shabbat, and then it has those words in
Oh,
the
okay,
parentheses. So
okay,
okay,
'cause
so I
normally if
shouldn't,
you don't
so I
actually-
shouldn't say that then.
whichever. I don't think it's, I don't, as far as I know, it's not correct, but I won't swear to it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so it would be
This is the problem with
Kachecha
us using
Behava Uvratzon. Besimcha Uvsason Hingaltanu. Baruch Ata Adonai Mekadesh
now
Hashabbat
Shabbat.
Hashabbat ve'Israel ve'Hazmanim. Ve'Hazmanim.
Good. Fabulous. Fabulous. Okay. Somebody else. We're gonna do this Saturday night part. We're gonna really be crazy. We're gonna pretending it's Friday night and Saturday night at the same time. But because it will be Saturday night, the second night, so we might as well read it and know what we're reading. Somebody want to join? Somebody want to volunteer?
Oh, before you go further, so we
Sure.
say the
Questions.
yeah, we say the whole blessing which I have read, and then we add that on Saturday nights, right?
Well, if it was Saturday night, you wouldn't do the part about Shabbos.
Yeah, you don't say that. Oh, the one in the
Right.
parentheses.
You don't do the Shabbat part.
Yeah.
Like you don't do the first paragraph, lift the cup. You don't do the. It says in my book, it says add the words in parentheses on Shabbat. So
Yeah.
those you don't add, but you add the Havdalah.
So on Saturday night, you start from Sabri Marana, right?
Yes, yes.
And then you add, okay.
Baruch Atah Melech, pray for your guffin. Right,
Okay.
and keep going from there.
Okay,
Exactly on
thanks.
Saturday night.
Judy?
Yes, Arlene.
I was gonna start it.
Okay, I'm ready.
Can I just ask one question,
Sure,
please?
Susan. Yes.
Because I'm doing Havdalah is new to me this past year and I love it. But so since this year, second Seder will be on Saturday night, what is the order? Do you do your Seder and then during it you do Havdalah? Or do you do Havdalah before you start your Seder? I just don't know.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do it as part of, I think you do it, you may do it first. I'm trying to think if we do it before we start. Well, I'll tell you one of the things is also, and I will check on that. It's part of the Kiddush is Havdalah. So I'm not sure whether you have to do something else separately or not. But I will check on that. But the issue is that a lot of people also, especially on second night, you're supposed to start an hour later because you can start before, like you start when candle lighting on the first day, but it doesn't become the second day, whether it's Saturday night or Sunday night or Tuesday night until it's dark. The problem is, especially with daylight savings time, they really screwed us up when they moved daylight savings time so early. Because it used to be sometimes Pesach was before daylight savings time, but now it's never before. It's very late. So a lot of times we'll do suggestion, and I'll do a little bit more, just a little bit more. I promise not too much about this. You can do some of the storytelling before you start the actual Seder, so that you don't have to start at 9:30 or 8:30, whatever it is, the second night. So, but you have to, like, you can't light candles before you do Havdalah. So you would have to do something for you, I would think first, but it's part of the I'm not sure exactly of the details, and I didn't look it up about the exact Havdalah thing. I'll get back to you next week.
Thanks. I just haven't thought about it before, and it's interesting.
Yeah, I love Havdalah, and a lot of synagogues will do it over Zoom or whatever. And it's a really nice thing on Saturday afternoon, just for anybody. I don't know what your shuls have, because it's a short service. It's not like Saturday morning, 3 hours. Even if you have, mincha with Havdalah and Mariv, so an hour usually altogether. And in the old days, we used to do learning in between the afternoon service and the evening service in Havdalah, and we had to eat, because you're supposed to have an extra meal on Shabbos. So it's a fun time. We used to do baby names also, because this way the parents and the baby didn't have to stay so long. Because at Mincha on Saturday, you also read Torah. So, but Havdalah is a wonderful thing. It's very sensual also. It involves the senses. So that's also fun for people, for anybody, observant or non-observant. It's a nice ceremony. Okay. Arlene, I think you were going to read.
We're on the Motzi Shabbat. Is that where we're on now? Or
Yeah, Motzi. It looks like Motzi, but it's not. It's Motzai. It's Motzei. It's after Shabbos, and this answers your question. Is part of the Havdalah. You say, read just the first line, Arlene.
okay, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei mo'orei ha'esh.
Good. That would normally be the candle. I don't. So, oops. We would not actually light a candle. There are some holidays with the 2 days where you say it, but you don't actually light a candle, because on Pesach, you are allowed to cook. You are allowed to carry. You are not supposed to ignite or extinguish. So you can't extinguish the Havdalah candle. You can transfer fire. You can't light, or you can't ignite or extinguish. So anyway, we'll keep going. This is not enough teaching. This is Hebrew. You're going to keep going, Arlene.
Okay, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil bein kodesh. The whole bein or le hoshek bein Yisrael la amin bein yom ha shivi e.
Good.
Le shet Yemain hama set
Okay, good.
Bang could do Shabbat lick do shot Yom Tov ha
Now look the vowels.
Heave
Good.
day heave, but I can't see the next one. He day
Dalta. It is Dalta.
He dalta ve'et yom hash ve mi say
Shet
yemei ha ma'o she
Ma'aseh
the ki dash ta.
Good.
He heave delta the ki dash ta.
Good.
Amcha Yisrael vik dusha techa Baruch atah Adonai ha mavdil bein kodesh le kodesh.
Good. Okay.
That was not easy.
It was not easy, but did you recognize anything, Susan? Did you recognize Havdalah? It is part. part of this is actually from the normal Havdalah service. It's Havdalah is separate. Is the differing. It's between this and this, between this and this. Bain is actually between this and this, between the 6 days and Shabbos, between the holy. But the tricky part is the very last words. It says Bain Kodesh LeKodesh. Usually, anybody know what the last word would be in the regular Havdalah? Bain Kodesh. Yes, Linda.
I don't know what it would be in a regular.
Oh, okay. It's a whole, it's weekday, it's secular. Usually it's because you're separating from Shabbos to their everyday workday. But we're not separating between because we're going from holy to holy. So it's the holiness of Shabbat to the holiness of just Pesach. So that's the difference there. But a lot of the other things, and that's what Havdalah is, it's separation between one thing and another. And you see that over and over and over again.
So Bain means between?
Yes.
So that.
Yeah. So that's really what Havdalah is all about. And you'll see it over and over again in that paragraph. Okay. Somebody was going to read the last line after the Kodesh. Somebody that hasn't read this, Celia. You want to read it again? You already read it once. Okay, read it again. That's okay. I'm not complaining.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechienu v'kimenu v'higyanu lazman hazeh.
Okay, when did we read that? This morning we did it.
We did it. It's at the first of every holiday. We read it.
Yes.
We read it for at the end when we the end of services, when we have a birthday or an anniversary. It's thanking God for bringing us to this date.
Exactly, or this season. And we did it when we lit the candles. When you light candles, you do it, but you do it again as part of the Kiddush.
Like the first night of Hanukkah and Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and Pesach, but not
exactly. Okay.
Walking up the steps for the first time.
Yes. Analia.
May I ask a question, please?
Sure.
I was brought up, we only said the Shechianu the first night of the holiday. However, I see the Lubavitch say it the first 2 nights.
Yeah, I think it's because you want to say as many brachot as possible. And it's not just Lubavitch. I brought up that you say it both nights. The tricky part is let's go to Sukkot even. Okay, you have the first 2 days are holidays, right? Both 1 and 2. So the idea is it's something new, okay? But it's the second day. It's the same thing as the first day. So the idea is you're supposed to eat something different. That's why you have different fruits and stuff. Like I'll have my Concord grapes for the first time of the season. I'll have them then. So it's actually being said over that instead of the fact that it's just the second day.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because when you eat a fruit for the for the first time in the season, you also do that's another event, a time that you can do a Shechianu. So you should do it every day. When it's Yom Tov, you should be doing a Shechianu. Yes, what?
So if you do, but the second night, right before Seder, you're not eating anything different. It's just
yes, but you are going to be. What does anybody know what you do different on the second day that you don't? And it hasn't in my Haggadah, not in all of them.
Counting the Omer.
Thank you very much, Faye.
But that's the end.
It doesn't matter. You're doing it that night. It doesn't have to be at that moment.
Okay.
I didn't hear what she said. What was the
counting the Omer? Will you begin counting the Omer the second day?
Oh yeah. Okay.
So with
and
that,
it actually has it. I'm glad it has it in my Haggadah because I would probably forget to do it the first night.
so
Last year we did it every single. We didn't miss one day. I was very proud. that's the challenge for everybody. You know, you do exercises for how long is the challenge is if you can remember for 49 days. But now that we can set alerts on our phone and all that stuff, it makes it easier. Okay, so we do that. So we've done the first, so we've done, if you look at the list again, we've done Kadesh. Now we're coming to Orchatz. Okay, Orchatz is we wash our hands, but we don't say anything, so we don't have to do any Hebrew here. It's never this is, they say it's because we're gonna dip a vegetable, and some people think that you really have to put, you know, because you're eating something, you should wash your hands. It's then they say you do it without a bracha because number one, you're not doing motzi, and number two, it's good to ask questions. A lot of the stuff is geared to getting people to ask questions, and so that's always a good thing. So we don't do anything. Some people will have just the leader will dip, you know, will wash his hands. Sometimes they'll pass it around, but still there's no bracha. So that's the second. That's the shortest step. The next one is karpas, which is the dipping of whatever vegetable you like. Many people do parsley because it's a new thing growing at that time. And if you have kids in nursery school, they started the seeds at Purim time, and you're supposed to eat the parsley that they grew. You can also use any green vegetable. I was reading a little bit, and they said a lot of times people use celery. In Europe, they used to use potato. So, because it's a simple thing that's grown anywhere, whatever. So it can be any kind of a vegetable. We know that the different brachot for different foods. This bracha is the one from things that grow from the ground, adama. All those things have to grow from the ground. So there has to be something that grows from the ground. We are, so far we've said the bracha over wine, things that grow from the vine, and now we're going to do things that grow from the earth. Normally, if you're going to have a meal, you do a birkat hamazon. You do motzi first, and once you do the blessing for the motzi, when you do the blessing for bread, that includes everything you eat in that meal. You don't have to say adama and whatever else you're eating. So that includes everything, but we haven't done motzi yet. So we're going to do something for vegetables from the ground. Who's going to read? Thank you, Gail first, and then Ramel will be next.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri ha'adamah.
Good. Same form as the borei peri ha'gafen, but it's adamah, the ground. Okay. Now, Magid is gonna. Any questions? Okay. Magid is the part that I really suggest that you do some of this stuff before your Seder, if you're going to start your Seder at the correct time, because it's going to go too long. So now we do it before, but in the order of the Seder, it comes now. Okay, then we come with that. Okay. This sometimes we sing. I'm gonna let somebody read it. Ramel, would you like to read?
Yes.
Yeah, cover the matzah. And, whatever Haggadah you're in, it should be after you uncover the matzah.
Baking the middle matzah.
And it should say Magid also.
Manishtana halayla.
No, we didn't get there yet. We didn't get there. I don't know if your book doesn't have it. It's it's not ma. Ha-lachma anya. This is the bread of affliction. It's
Okay.
before the manishtana. Do you have it? You should have it.
Ha-lachma anya.
Good.
Di ahalu avhatana be'artsa
The ayin, not a tzadi.
be'artsa demitzrayim.
Good.
Kol dik de dik dikfin
Yes, exactly. Yes.
dikfin yetai
Yete.
yete v'yakol
Cool.
kol
From the same word, but it's a different, but the different form. It's eating, but it's yehul.
v'yehul
Good.
kol ditzricha ditzri
Yes.
Yete
Yeah, exactly. From the line before, same word.
Yete v'yifsach.
Good. You see, Pesach is in there.
Oh yeah. Oh, Yifsach. Yes.
But we shouldn't forget what we're reading when we're trying to sound it out. So I just wanted to point it out. Okay, good.
Okay. Hashata ha
Good.
lishana haba'a
Good.
Be'ar sa.
No, you're confused. This is the second time. It's not a tzadi, it's an ayin. Look at the difference between the Mitzrayim, the tzadi. It doesn't go all the way to the bottom. It cuts a little higher up. That's the tzadi. The ayin goes all the way down to the bottom of the letter. Okay.
Be'ara'a
Mm-hmm.
Be'ara'a de Yisrael
Good.
Hashata Avdei Lishana Haba'a B'nai Horin.
Good. Corinne, exactly. Does it sound when she started with Lashana Haba'ah? Did anybody think of anything else?
A song.
What did
that's
you-
A
cute.
song, Lashana.
Habaya.
Right. And also at the end of the Haggadah, we say Lashana Haba B'Yerushalayim. Okay. And that's what this is. It Halachma Anya Diachalu Ahavatanu Ve'ara Di Mitzrayim. Okay, so in some places you might sing it. And I just want to say, I don't know about your Haggadah. My book does not translate Mitzrayim. It says Mitzrayim. Some books will say Egypt. Yeah, because it's not just Egypt. It's that particular time, those particular people. So instead of saying Egypt, it actually keeps the Mitzrayim in the English translation as well.
That's cool.
Point of information. Every Haggadah has somewhat the prejudice, the attitude of whoever it compiles it, particularly with if it has any illustrations, because some of the prayers obviously we don't have a choice. They are what they are. But anyway, so then so that's what we are asking for. What time is it? 10:43. Any questions, comments?
Does Horain mean free?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's
We're
the
talking about-
feminine? What's the feminine? Horena?
I would say Corinne et, but B'nai, it was the one that would change, I think. It's like sisters-in-law. Like when you say bar or bat mitzvah, you say B'nai mitzvah or Benot mitzvah. It's
Right.
sisters-in-law. So I think it's the same thing. It's the B'nai would be different rather than the Horim.
So that,
Okay. Now we're gonna skip the, and have the plea for Jews around the world at this time. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna fill the second cup of wine, and now we're gonna do the 4 questions. Okay, Ellen is volunteering.
Manishana halayla hazat mikol halaylot shebachol halaylot anu ochlin hametz humatzah halayla hazat kulo matzah shebachol halaylot anu ochlin she'ar yirakot. It's so hard to not sing it. I'm almost
I
repeating some.
understand, but I want you to, but
Yirakot.
part of it is learning how to read.
I
So
know.
that's-
Yirakot
But you
halayla
can,
hazat
you know what,
mavor.
Ellen, before you finish, I wanted to, let you last, after you read it, you can sing it. Okay.
Oh, someone else has to sing. Ramel, she's got a beautiful voice, not me. I'm not going to sing. But thank you for that offer. Shebachol haleilot ein anu matbilin afilu pa'am echat. Halayla hazat shetei fe'amim. Shebachol haleilot anu ochlin bein yoshvein uvein misubin. Halayla hazat kulanu misubin. I was always the one to say this for many years, not so much anymore, but it was always me. So,
Yes, Linda.
I wanted to say that yesterday when I was looking at the Haggadah and I got to the 4 questions, I remembered when I was a little girl, my father had it done in translation for me to read. And it was so thrilling to be able to read it in Hebrew.
Yep. Yeah, very excited. That's one of the joys of learning to read Hebrew, is we can do it now in Hebrew. Just as a statement, because we're not doing translation, I know there are not 4 questions. There is 1 question and 4 statements. If they do not, it's not a question. It says, how is this different? That's 1. And then it says, we eat chametz or matzah. It doesn't say why. If you know the Hebrew, there's no place where it says, why do we only eat matzah? It says, on this night, we only eat matzah. So it's really, and I'm not going to tell you, you shouldn't call it the 4 questions, but there are not 4 questions. There's only 1 question. Linda.
So I took a class the other night with a JTS professor, and it's a 6 weeks course on Passover. And the title of the class was the 4 questions. So he said every year at Seder, he says he'll give $100 to whoever can find in the Haggadah the answer to the 4 questions. And then he tells you that there are not 4 questions.
Exactly. And I don't know if they're teaching that, and I'm going to call it Susan in 1 second. Not only that, but these were not always the 4 statements even.
That's right.
They used to be different ones.
Right.
And not only that, but how do these people know this? We haven't done any of these things yet. We haven't eaten matzah yet. We didn't eat herbs yet. We didn't eat bitter herbs yet. We didn't dip twice yet. We only dipped once. So how do they know all this? They do say that this used to be much later in the Haggadah. After you've done it, it doesn't really make sense.
It was supposed to be like a recap to talk about what you had already
why
done.
do you think why did it get changed?
Because nobody could stay up till the end.
Thank you very much. We hope that people are going to stay up, but just in case, we want to make sure we have it early on. And that's exactly it. And it also they used to be different. One, I forget exactly, I'm not going to go into it, but they used to be different based on the times. So the people that made this were really big into eating bread. So that was really the biggest thing, is not eating bread, where it used to be something about meat, I think, I forget. Anyway, they did get changed.
Yes, because initially there were 2 holidays. One was the holiday of Pesach, which was the sacrifice, and one was the holiday of matzah.
Exactly.
Oh, really?
Yes, you're learning a lot. I learned that also. You're learning a lot. That's it. It's fun to prepare for Seder and Pesach in ways besides just cleaning. Right. You know, we already know we're going to be slaves for a while before we get free, and that's why I think that's why we have to do all the cleaning. It teaches what it means to be a slave. But and I say that jokingly, but thank God we're not slaves. But yeah, you can learn a lot about Pesach and about the Seder, and it just makes it more meaningful, hopefully, for everybody. The people are there, and the people that are at your Seder, and the people that are doing the Seder. Okay. Let's see.
Judy,
Yes.
I just
Yes,
wanted
that's
to
Susan.
offer-
Thank you. I forgot.
not a problem. I just wanted to offer, and I don't need to know now, but I have a French and a Spanish Haggadah because I speak both. And so I wanted to just throw out to our group, and if you want to have the 4 questions or something else in French or in Spanish, if you have grandchildren or yourself you speak. So I could photocopy some of the
That would be
those
great.
pages,
That
email
would be
them to you.
lovely. I
Could I-
actually, yes, please send them to me, and I will send them out. If you send
Okay.
it to me, actually, I actually have a book of 1,001 different ways to say it, and we have it in Valley Girl, we have it in Yiddish, we have it in language. There's some languages that only
pass that
60
book
people in
around
the whole
every
world
year.
speak. We had the guy that wrote that put together this book come to our synagogue one time. It's fascinating. And my son Daron, who's a lawyer, made one up in legalese, which is right. So, and that's you know what? People will remember that in your Seder, and
Sure.
it's something that engages people. And I think that's great. And that'd be lovely.
So
And
I'll-
if you
Do
have
Do you
anybody
have
that
that? Do you have the legalese one, Judy?
I do, and
I
maybe
I would love it.
when Susan sends hers, well, I'll put together a few things to send as an
Great.
attachment.
Good.
That would
Great.
be lovely.
Do
I
you
would
have
love
it?
that.
Really fun.
Is
Yes,
Ukrainian-
That would be
Emily.
good. It'd be fun.
Is Ukrainian by chance in there?
Oh, I guarantee Ukrainian is in there. I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
I
literally every 1,001. How many languages there are? I will. The tricky part is, and I have to do this because we go on Tuesday. A lot of our Pesach stuff is at our son's house because we started doing Seder's there. So I have to get the book. But yeah, I'm gonna get that. That's a good idea. I would like that. We should do that this year, by the way. Please God, maybe it'll be over by then, which would be lovely, but we still could say it.
Yeah.
I think that would be very appropriate. Thank you. Yes, Ann Lee.
I just finished a course on ancient Egypt, and to my dismay, found out that the Hebrews did not build the pyramids.
That is correct.
And
That
we
is
were
correct.
devastated. They were in existence 2,000 years before
They built store cities, not even if you really believe the story, they didn't build the pyramids. They did store cities. Yeah, part of it, and is we can go beyond what we learn as a child. And I think that's part of the going on beyond. I don't know if we talked about Hanukkah. It seems pretty clear that the whole oil thing was clearly not the beginning of Hanukkah, because it doesn't show up until hundreds of years later as an example, as an explanation. It's hundreds of years later. It's in the book of First and Second Maccabees, which we don't even have in our Bible. It's preserved by the Christians. It was a strictly physical battle that they fought, and we won. And rededication clearly. And the reason one part of it, why it was 8 days, the rededication, is because it was an imitation of Sukkot that was 8 days, and that was the last pilgrimage festival, and they couldn't celebrate it. So that's a dedication. So it's 8 days. And you know what? And I don't think that it hurts us to know that it wasn't that the oil lasted 8 days, the reason we have it. And we can sort of get beyond it. If you want to know something that's really outrageous, is there are people that say Purim never happened either, that it was the first Purim spiel is the Haggadah. I mean, the Megillah. That did. And, but that means a lot to us now. And it means a lot, especially to people that, the Sephardim, the hidden Jews. That is the most important holiday, most meaningful holiday to the people from Jews in Spain, because they identify with it. So, there's all different explanations and everything. As long as it has a meaning for you, I think it's not a bad thing. Okay. Okay, we're gonna go to the 4 children. In we are slaves should be after the 4 questions, and then the next major thing is the 4 children, and it should actually say in your Haggadah, I'm sure it says the 4 children. And that's already obviously politically correct. We used to say the 4 sons, now we say the 4 children.
That's right. Yeah, you used to say that. I forgot.
And just as an aside, you talk about different Haggadot. In this one that we use, these are the 4 children. And the reason that this is the illustration is, it says that there's a little bit of all of each of them in all of us. Nobody is all one thing or another. And that I find a lot of meaning in that. Okay, so
Which Haggadah is that, Judi?
the Feast of Freedom by the Rabbinical Assembly, still available. It probably is a couple of dollars more than when we bought it. We bought it, I think it was either somewhere between $6 and $8 a piece. And it has explanations on the sides. It's a pretty standard Haggadah in the middle, but it has illustrations and it has explanations and commentary on the sides. So
You say the
That's
name again? Say the name again, please, so I could write it.
Feast of Freedom.
Feast of Freedom. Thanks.
And what I'm gonna do next week also, I think or until Pesach, is bring 1 or 2 Haggadot just to show. There are more Haggadot than there are Carter's little liver pills. And there always were, and there are beautiful Haggadot that you can find at the Jewish Theological Seminary, and I'm sure at any, and certainly at any Jewish museum. It was because they were illuminated and illustrated,
Right.
because you couldn't do that to a Torah, but you could do it to a Megillah, and you could do it to a Haggadah. Yes, Linda.
So I have one of the things I do a lot of years is if I see a new Haggadah, I'll buy it and I'll read it, because everything is always different and you learn. But one of the ones that I really like is the Schechter Haggadah, because it pulls the illustrations that all of the ones, the illuminated ones, are in there. So it's beautiful to look at, and they give explanations of the pieces they put in.
Thank you, Linda. That's actually another Haggadah. It's this Haggadah, and some of the other ones that I would be mentioning is not one that you have everybody have.
Right.
First of all, it is it's more expensive. But you can bring things from the Haggadah to your Seder, and I really recommend it. It's the Schechter Institute is what.
Could she show it? Can she, Linda, put it up
Yeah.
so I can see? Linda, can she put
I
it in
really
the
recommend. I recommend this Haggadah a lot. It's beautiful, and it has
let me
a
see.
lot
Let me
of.
see. Okay.
It has
Thank
a
you.
lot of interesting
Linda, say
illustrations.
something so we'll see you bigger.
I
This is
can
the
pin her.
Haggadah.
1 minute. I
You
can
can
her.
pin her
I
to
can
get her
pin her.
bigger.
I said I'm going to do it. You got to give me a second.
There it is. Sorry, Judi.
I got to change my screen.
Okay.
Where is
so
she?
it's from-
Where is she?
Show it in
On
color.
gallery?
So another thing that I do is if I
Oh.
find a reading I like, I'll copy it. And then I put readings on everybody's plates. And that way each person brings something in that's not in the Haggadah.
Oh,
So-
great. Fabulous.
It's
What-
a
what do
great
you do?
Haggadah. I mean, there are many good ones in this one. And also it's great to give them some money to support the Schechter Institute also,
Right.
honestly.
Will you hold it up hold it 1 second. I want to take a picture.
And you spell Schechter, SCH?
Yes.
E-T-E-R?
CH. 2
E-C-
CHs.
I just Googled
what-
it and you can easily find it online.
Okay.
Yes,
Easily found.
absolutely.
And
But
Linda,
if you
what does
buy
Linda
it from
do?
the Schechter
Linda-
website, it's cheaper than buying it from Amazon.
Yeah,
It's
and
really
also
good.
they get more money because when you put when you buy things from Amazon, they take a huge portion of the money. So if you can buy it directly, I recommend it.
Oh, great, thanks.
Directly from whom?
From
Schechter
Schechter.
Institute.
If you Google
SC
the name of the Haggadah, it'll come up. It's actually Geffen Publishing, but if you buy it from Schechter, there's a $4 discount.
Oh,
Yeah, I recommend that one a lot. I really like it. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great when it shows the 4 children and it has different illustrations. You learn who put out the Haggadah. The earliest Zionist one is interesting. There's a Barbie one. I mean, there's all kinds of different ones. It's a little bit like Birkat Hamazon, the blessing after meals, has different harachamans, different response towards the end of depending on who put it out. So this is the same thing. Thank you,
Can I ask
thank
a
you.
very
Yeah,
quick question?
sure.
The beginning of you speaking about Pesach, you said that there was a traditional way of just the leader saying and doing everything. And that is how my brother does it. So can you tell me what that was called? I don't remember what you said. There was a tradition and it was called something.
I don't know what I would say. I don't know if there's a name. It's like frontal teaching. It's one person standing there doing the whole thing. And we don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And I really recommend if you have any say in the matter that you try not to do that.
But he does pass that book around.
It's not engaging.
It's not.
And
but
what Linda suggested is a good idea too, is if you find a Haggadah that you like or commentary or whatever, you can make copies and give it to people. Or if you want them to do, if you have to have the right kind of people, you can even ask them in advance to do their own research. And it's very easy to
passes that book
research.
around. The book that you were talking about when
You
all
can
the
pass
and we
it
all
around
do,
too. You can do
we
whatever.
all do that.
I have
do that.
tried some of the stuff. It's not that much so much. I have the Moss Haggadah. Some of the really special Haggadot I don't like to bring to the table, to be honest, because I have to tell you, if you look at this Haggadah, it is so dirty and disgusting.
But
But
that's
you know,
the
it's
beauty of it.
okay. That's part of it. It's supposed to be.
Right.
But I don't want. And you actually see some illuminated Haggadot that have real gold on them that also are dirty. But I'm not willing to do that. But I'm telling you, you can even ask them. Tell them to bring a question, or you can take one of the pieces of the 15 and say, do something. You know, say something, whatever it is they want to do. But I really, if you have any say in your Seder, I really recommend that you try to get to be interactive. Because that's the whole deal, to keep people engaged and tell the story. Yes, Linda.
So another thing that I learned a few years ago from a different rabbi, Rabbi Berkowitz, who also did his own Haggadah.
Illustrated, yes.
Yes. But what I learned from him is that because this is a teaching that we're supposed to do to pass on. So he says he tries to bring in pictures or something from Seders long ago in their family. So I started every year, I bring out pictures of a Seder from years past.
Nice.
From like my parents. I have like a 2-minute video. It was from a 16mm film that my dad shot of the first Seder he went to at my grandparents' house.
Nice.
And for me, it was the first time I saw my grandparents' apartment in New York, because I wasn't alive then, but my mom, I mean, it can be so meaningful, you know?
There are so many things you could do to make it meaningful. And I think that's really important. And thank you, Linda. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. We are now at 11:03. So we will not go any further.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I think it's fabulous. I think
Very nice.
Yes, I understand that this is supposed to be a Hebrew class, but I think to make the Seder, to make Judaism more meaningful is also important. And I think that it's a good use of our time, Linda. Honestly, I really do. And everybody else agrees. You can see everybody shaking their heads.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. I enjoy it.
If you're going
anyway.
to bring another Haggadot, Judy, I personally would recommend the Elie Wiesel one.
Oh,
And and the Rabbi Jonathan Sachs one. That's also very good.
You also can even find online, there's ecology Haggadot, depending on what your thing is. You can find it on almost any theme. You can
Right.
get a Haggadah. So, and some of them are free even.
So there's
and
also a new
chat,
one
too.
called the 10-minute Haggadah. And wait, let me show you this.
there's also a 30-second Haggadah, which I can't hear.
Okay.
I have to tell you, I do believe that we shouldn't schlep it out, but on the other hand, I do think that there's some meaning in this. Yes. Yeah.
So this
I think
is
most
one's
people
also
can live
by,
through more than that. Yeah.
right. This one was
Yeah.
also Rabbi Berkowitz, who did the Lavelle Haggadah. So he did this for a family
Love 'em.
who wanted something that they could do in 10 minutes, but they could expound on if they wanted to. So
Yeah.
it's hard paper, it folds out. It
It's
has,
a cardstock kind of thing. Yeah.
right.
Like
It
a
has-
trifold cardstock. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So there's
So
all
my
kinds of
daughter's
things you can
having a
find out
Seder
there.
for all of her friends, and most of them aren't Jewish. So she's using this.
Oh, listen, we've had people that are not Jewish and they sat through a whole Seder, so that's okay. We've had a priest at our Seder, we've had a nun at our Seder. Yeah, anyway, all right, I don't want to slip this too long, but
Yeah.
thank you very much, everybody. Shabbat
Thank you.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
And,
Shabbat
next week, have a
Happy
great
Purim.
weekend and a happy
Judy,
Purim.
sorry, I felt
Happy
like we were having
Purim.
a personal
Shalom.
conversation.
Not
Don't be
Purim, happy
sorry, it
Purim.
was terrific. Thank you, Linda.
Oh, it was
Take care.
wonderful.